Good evening, everyone. We will now begin the evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters, expressing our gratitude to God and Meishu-sama for blessings and protection received while participating in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku Prayer. Please stand. Taka ni kamuzumarimasu kamurogi kamuromi no mikoto mochite Somemio ya kamu izanagi no mikoto tsukushi no himoka no tachihana no odo no ahagi hara ni misogi hara itamo toki ni narimaseru harai do no o kami tachi moro moro no magagoto tsumi kegario Harai tamae kiyome tamae tomao sukoto no yoshio Amatsu kami kunitsu kami yao yorozu no kami tachi tomoni Ame no fuji koma no mimi furi tatete Kikoshi mese to kashikomi mo maosu Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Miroku o mikami mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Oshie miyoya nushi no kami mamori tamae. Saki hae tamae. Kam nagara tamachi hae mase. Kam nagara tamachi hae mase. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized, with health, peace, and prosperity a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated for group Johrei. May God and Meishu-sama bless you. Teaching this evening is entitled God's Plan. It's on page 18 of the Daily Inspirations. How can God's great plan to dispel humanity's errors and purify the universe be perceived by our limited human sight? For thousands of years, for eons, God has waited for the right time. It has arrived. God's plan is being fulfilled. God's great plan for paradise on earth must begin somewhere, with a small prototype in the material world. Our goal is to construct paradise on earth. This ideal world is about to be born. According to the revelation I received, the foundation of paradise on earth has already been established in the spiritual realm. Therefore, there is no doubt that it will materialize on earth in the near future. What a fortunate time it is in which we have been born. The thought of this fills us with joy. How might it occur? Suppose someone wished to build a magnificent home in the place of an existing structure. The old house first has to be taken down. Some of the building blocks of that house, such as lumber, can be used again for the new building, but only after they have been selected, washed clean, shaved with a plane, and polished. The same principle is involved in the construction of paradise on earth. Thus, even though some events that will happen may seem unreasonable, illogical, unproductive, or even destructive from a human perspective, please understand that what is actually happening is a major purification of an accumulation of clouds. It is all part of the profound plan of God and cannot be judged with our limited perception. We should act with humility, being careful not to question God's will and remaining faithful. No matter what circumstances arise, whether unprecedented, unusual, or destructive, it is important to keep our peace of mind. This is possible only for those who have deep faith and trust in God. In the meantime, we should enjoy life and wait for the right time, leaving the final outcome in God's hands. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening service of the Miroku Association headquarters. Today, I would like to share a faith experience that was shared in Brazil today from Patricia Sugi. I'm 42 years old and I have been a Johrei member for 24 years. I've always had an affinity with the nature farming activities, but I couldn't actively dedicate myself in this area or even practice home gardening. I then eventually attended a home garden multipliers course with my husband, which I haven't completed yet. I have watched videos on the subject and read publications available, seeking to master the technique of natural cultivation. However, whenever I planted something, I didn't succeed. The seeds did not germinate, or the shoots soon perished. I have been married for 10 years, and my husband, even though he is not a Johrei member, has always admired the teachings of Meishu-sama, receives Johrei, and dedicates himself to do gardening at the Johrei Center. At the end of 2019, I had the opportunity to dedicate with the landscaping team of the sacred grounds of Guarapiranga and brought back home with me some parsley seeds. At that time, my 8-year-old son and I participated in the monthly appreciation services at the sacred grounds, and he expressed to me his desire to participate in a home gardening workshop there. Taking advantage of the opportunity, I asked the workshop instructor, why every time I cultivate in my garden according to our nature farming technique, the seedlings always die? He replied, the secret is not the technique, but love. I was surprised by the answer and kept his words in my heart. With the start of quarantine due to the pandemic in March 2020, I spent more time at home with my family. We intensified the practice of faith at home, daily channeling of Johrei, attended our online services, regularly doing the reading of Meishu-sama's teachings, Mitama Migaki, which is the dedication of doing cleanups as a way of polishing our souls, and offering monetary donations of gratitude. We also decided to start our home garden. Together, we take care of our plot of land and plant the parsley seeds, acquiring the sacred grounds, as well as other vegetables and spices. This time, we increased the amount of love we put in. We did everything with great care, exercising feelings of gratitude to the soil and farmers in general. For our great joy, the garden thrived. Parsley and other vegetables germinated and grew beautifully and healthy. We are consuming the product as well as distributing them to friends so that they can have contact with the light of God through one of the columns of salvation, nature farming. I was able to learn that between planting and harvesting, there is an exercise of patience with the understanding that everything happens in accord with God's time. I try to transmit this learning to my son and apply it to all areas of my life. My husband awakened to become a Johrei member and received the sacred focal point of Hikari in July 2020. We remain firm in carrying out the basic practices of faith. We are providing religious assistance to members and visitors of the Johrei Center, and we have already applied for a home altar. I'm extremely grateful to God for the permission to build a home filled with light and strength, and together with my family, to serve the divine work for the realization of paradise on earth, and to follow in the footsteps of Meishu-sama. This is a very nice experience regarding the practice of nature farming. About a week or so ago, the head minister of our Johrei movement in Africa, Reverend Claudio Pinheiro, was interviewed by a local radio station over there, where they asked many questions why we, as the Johrei movement, put so much emphasis in the nature farming. And he explained, well, this is a basic principle of our practice. If we don't resolve the issue of famine, of starvation that so many go through, how can a paradise can be established? And he shared that at one point, 50,000 of our members there were practicing nature farming. Of course, when we do nature farming, there are those who are more experienced that serve as coaches, and they share their practice and experience. Because of the pandemic, then so many could not assist those who were just initiating into the practice. So the number decreased a little, but still there are so many that they've been practicing. And first of all, they are consuming foods that are filled with energy, filled with light. If you are not familiar with our principle, we don't apply any insecticides, fertilizers. We just use vegetable composting. And because of that, so many people also are being guided to Meishu-sama because, like the experience we heard today, this member, Patricia, she shared her own produce to friends, to neighbors. So then these people are experiencing something that they haven't eaten with that much quality or again energy, and they don't know that there is a this spiritual component love, so they eat a vegetable uh, or or some other, or like even the spices that she was mentioning, and then they, wow, this is amazing, it's so tasty, so wonderful. Please tell me what are your secrets. And so that's one principle. Another thing I'd like to share in this regard, a couple of years ago, there was one of these nature farming technicians. So he visited Mozambique, Africa, and he was during these workshops telling how many vegetables there are in nature, and people are not aware they are edible, which is amazing. When you go to a supermarket, for instance, what you see are what are considered popular vegetables: lettuce, tomato, carrots. But there are so many things that in nature that are edible. And what this technician was teaching was showing even cattails can be eaten. And not just he was pointing, okay, you can eat this vegetable, that vegetable, but also teaching what kind of dishes people could make with them so that people would be inspired to try out. That means although there is famine still happening in the world, but then, this issue can be decreased, minimized, if people learn that, okay, they don't have to rely only on those popular vegetables. There are so many things around, especially, of course, if they are produced by a natural, organic, in our case, nature farming process. So people will eat nutritious foods and be able to fulfill their missions. We have to eat in order to have the strength to also be able to help others. So that's the faith experience and what I would like to share with you this evening. Thank you very much. Have a blessed evening. With this concludes our evening session.